Today, we say goodbye. But if you need me, I ain't hard to find. All you gotta do is go look up in the sky and follow the buzzer.
This is where the chapter ends. A new one now begins. Time has come for letting go. The hardest part is when you know all of these years when we were here are ending. But I'll always remember we have had the time of our lives. And now the pages turn, the stories we will write. We have had the time of our lives, and I will not forget the faces left behind. It's hard to walk away from the best of days, but if it has to end, I'm glad you have been my friend in the time of our lives. Where the water meets the land, there is shifting in the sand. Like the tide that ebbs and flows, memories will come and go. All of these years when we were here are ending, but I'll always remember we have had the time of our lives. And now the pages turn, the stories we will write. We have had the time of our lives, and I will not forget the faces left behind. It's hard to walk away from the best of days, but if it has to end, I'm glad you have been my friend in the time of our lives. We say goodbye, we hold on tight to these memories that never die. We say goodbye, we hold on tight to these memories that never die. We have had the time of our lives, and now the pages turned, the stories we will write. We have had the time of our lives, and I will not forget the faces left behind. It's hard to walk away from the best of days, but if it has to end, I'm glad you have been my friend in the time of our lives.
You were there when I was weak.
I'm glad you have been my friend
down, so I just
in
wanted
the
to say
time of our
thank you.
lives.
You all saved my life.
Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Alrighty, what is up, my artists? We're here for another very special review, Austintheartist review of the Becoming Immortal, the Bray Wyatt story. I have Devon here with me. Oh, that was a tough watch. Not because it was bad, but because it was really, really well done and really good and really well made. Holy shit. It was actually really fucking amazing, actually.
Yeah. It was very, especially the last part of it was very, very sad.
It got hard to get through at times, but in a good way, I guess.
You know?
Man, okay, well, let's fucking start this off. Fucking, it started off, with introducing Bray and having this intro and everything, and introducing Wyndham and Taylor, or Bo Dallas, as you guys may know.
Or also Uncle Howdy.
Or Uncle Howdy, yep. He is going to Jason Baker's studio to meet up with Jason Baker, and that's where they conducted their main interview and everything.
And also, one of the weirdest things that caught us off guard is they have fucking The Undertaker narrating this documentary, which I was not expecting.
I wasn't expecting that either. I watched the Cody documentary, and fucking Stephen Amell narrated it, and it made sense. It made sense in a way, but then I was expecting from the trailer and everything, I was expecting Taylor. I was like, hey, it's gonna be Taylor narrating it, and there's no way. And then we hear fucking Undertaker, and we're just like, what the fuck? It was so mind fucking truly.
Yeah.
But he introduces the title card and everything, and then we start learning about Wyndham's home life, about how he was really into Beetlejuice and stuff like that, the Goosebumps books as well, and everything like that.
Yeah. Fucking fellow fan of Goosebumps. I fucking love Goosebumps. I didn't know that he was a fan of it, but they showed not even just Goosebumps books, the OG original run of Goosebumps books with the original art. So that's how you know he was a fan of Goosebumps since fucking day one.
Oh yeah. Fucking. He also mentions that he was basically really into, there was another movie he was into. Shit.
You think that Bray, I don't know if it's out there or not, but Wyndham, I'm so used to calling him Bray, but do you think he ever met R.L. Stein?
I don't know. Maybe, honestly.
Try to look it up and see if he did. I don't remember how to spell R.L. Stein. And of course I spelled it wrong. I'm not seeing anything, so I don't think so. It would have been cool if he did, though.
It would have been cool, yeah. But
basically, I could see just with how creative Wyndham's mind is, I could see the Fiend being a Goosebumps character, a wacky, especially the Funhouse stuff. I could see that being some kind of wacky Goosebumps episode. or whatever. Like it has that feel to it that just like wacky, weird vibe to it, which Goosebumps was. Well, Goosebumps tried to be scary, but also was really wacky and just weird. And I have a feeling that those books really helped inspire some of his creativity.
Oh yeah, definitely. Fucking basically talking about his childhood and everything, about how he has a brother, Taylor, obviously, and a sister. I can't remember what they said her name was. It was a little. It started with M.
I think it was Micah or some.
I
some
think, yeah.
Weird name like that. Maya, Micah, something like that. Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head.
And they're just introducing his family members. Of course, his uncle Barry Windham and his father Mike Rotunda, or fucking IRS, for people know him most for. And basically we see the reason Wyndham got into wrestling in the first place was when, and this has got to be one of the most cursed things, aside from the fact that Hulk Hogan was in the, like, one of the people that were talking and giving interviews, that was cursed enough. But the reason Wyndham wanted to wrestle is because he saw his dad, IRS, get his face put in one of the Nasty Boys' armpits. Why'd it have to be the Nasty Boys, man? It's always the Nasty Boys or Hulk Hogan anymore. Ever since XWF, it's always them. It's always. I got a fucking, like, Jerry Sags Tundra today on Supercard. It's always them, man. But fucking legitimately, that's the reason he became so passionate about wrestling and everything. And then we come to find out that he took part in football and amateur wrestling, and he wanted to be in the NFL. He was able to go to college football and everything, and basically they didn't turn out too well. Didn't go the greatest, so I can't remember. They kind of benched him in a way, and fucking Taylor signed with WWE at 18, so basically Wyndham just kind of went along with him, and that's how he started in FCW.
Yeah.
So, and they would team for a bit until Wyndham would become Husky Harris, and fucking goddamn Husky Harris was not something that Wyndham liked and whatever. And basically, he didn't like the Husky Harris character only because of the fact that he thought it was below him, kinda, and he wanted to be more creative with his creativity and everything.
It wasn't like the whole Husky Harris character like a Vince thing to like make fun of his weight.
Yes, that was also something. He thought it was a jab at his weight, pretty much. And
knowing Vince, it probably was.
Yes, it most likely was. I mean, Vince has done some things, man, that I cannot support. So, but basically, it wasn't working out with the Husky Harris character. So Triple H took him and put him back in FCW, which was going to be turned into NXT around that time, which is when he came up with the idea with the Bray Wyatt character, which he took inspiration from Waylon Mercy, which I knew about. I don't know if you knew about Waylon Mercy, Devon.
No,
But I only know about it because I saw a video on it. And it was a more recent video, and I know you're gonna say something about this. It was by Marky D. So
yeah.
But doesn't mean I like Marky D, okay? Does not mean that. But
I'm up to him eventually.
Fuck you. But it was basically like a cult type character, which is where he got the Bray Wyatt inspiration from. He also got it from an old friend he had named Bray Wyatt. So he took the Wyatt from one of his uncles or cousins, and created Bray Wyatt. And he debuted on NXT and everything. You want to take over for the NXT run?
So they came up with the idea for Bray, and it's pretty much like Wyndham came up with it, really. Like, I mean, Triple H had like some input, but like the character was really just based off of like all these promos that he would cut in like promo class, and he started building the character there, and he did like a lot of studying of like horror films and different things like that, and to come up with like this like weird like backwoods like cult leader character. And that's kind of where the Bray Wyatt character began. And he had all these like vignettes of like his followers, or I guess they're known as the Buzzards, or the Fireflies, and eventually he made his debut on NXT. They were originally going to put Bo Dallas with him, but Bo Dallas had already debuted on NXT at the time, so he already had like his own gimmick and stuff. He was on his own for a little bit, and then Bray came up with the idea of like he wanted to have like his own like family. And so that's when they introduced Luke Harper into it, and he was the first son of the Wyatt family, and they brought him in, and then eventually they brought in Eric Rowan as well, and he was the second son of the Wyatt family, and they became this trio, the Wyatt family. They got super popular in NXT, though I don't think Bray ever won the NXT championship, if I remember correctly.
No, I think Harper and Rowan won the NXT tag titles though.
Yeah. I know Bo Dallas won the NXT title at some point, but I don't think Bray ever did. And then because of how popular it was getting in NXT, they wanted to bring the Wyatt family act to the main roster, and then so in 2013 they debuted on Raw, and it went over way better than anybody thought, and it kind of exploded and got massively popular because no one had really ever seen anything like the Wyatt family before. And like, it was already popular on NXT, but because it was on Raw and SmackDown and pay-per-views, like, it went to such a more broader audience. A lot of people had never seen anything like this in wrestling, and so they found it interesting that, like, when Bray would talk, like, people would listen, just things he would say would just intrigue you, make you fascinated, and the entrance and just everything about the character was intriguing, and it was done so well, and it got so popular to where the next year at WrestleMania 30, they put Bray in a feud with John Cena, who was probably the biggest, if not one of the biggest stars they had at the time. And that's really saying something, where the character really wasn't in NXT for that long. The character kind of came to be, got popular in NXT, then quickly came to the main roster and just exploded in popularity, and then not even a year later he was already competing against John Cena at WrestleMania. It's crazy to think about how fast that he became like one of the top stars in the company in that short amount of time.
Yeah.
And then he ended up losing to Cena, which to this day I see so many people that say Bray should have won that match. Are you one of those people?
Yeah, I am definitely one of those people. Cena was at the time where he didn't really need to win, so yeah.
So then after that, they were just kept being popular, and that's like also around the time when they had their whole feud with the Shield, and I remember how popular that was at the time. I remember specifically my first experience seeing Bray Wyatt. My first introduction to him was, I remember, I believe it was the night that they debuted on Raw, and I remember them coming out, and I was like, what is this? And I was like, I don't know who these guys are. And I remember like Bray sitting in the rocking chair and shit, and just seeing Harper and Rowan, and I was like, who are these guys? Like, they look like weird. Like, I'd never seen anything like this in WWE before. And at the time, I was kind of from like 2011 to like 2013. I wasn't really watching that much, just because I got like super just disinterested in wrestling. Like, I was still playing like wrestling games and stuff, but like I just really wasn't watching it anymore, just because I didn't think that it was very good at the time. And so I just kind of stopped watching until around kind of when I think it was around sometime in 2013 I started watching Raw again, and I remember seeing the Wyatt family debut, and then from there I kept watching every week to see what the Wyatt family would do. And then I remember, especially for WrestleMania 30, I was watching Raw like every week, and the whole Bray Wyatt, Daniel Bryan storyline was great, and I was like so into that. And then the Bray and Cena storyline was so great. Like, every storyline that he had was so great. Besides, like, honestly, most of the storylines he had were like pretty much all of them were good, except if there was like one that I had to say was like just a big fat L, I would probably have to say his feud with Ryback that they did for like no fucking reason.
Yeah.
I remember that, and I was like, why is he feuding with Ryback of all people? But besides that, all the rest of his feuds were pretty good. But yeah, because he was just that kind of performer and that kind of personality that he just, even though he was weird and he was dark and ominous, like he just kind of just worked with whoever you put him with, and it just worked. Like, he worked. You wouldn't think someone like that would work well with like a John Cena or like a fucking like Randy Orton or like a Daniel Bryan. Like, you wouldn't think someone like weird and strange like that would work with like someone that was like as big of a baby face, like fucking John Cena and shit. Like, you wouldn't
Yeah, I
think
mean,
that dynamic would work, but it did.
every person he worked with besides Ryback, he like boosted in a way. Like, he was the rivalry that Daniel Bryan had right before WrestleMania, right before WrestleMania. You know, man.
Yeah, and you can't have that moment of that one Raw in 2014 where they did the steel cage and Daniel Bryan leaves the Wyatt family and is, because of Bray Wyatt, is turned into, he was already a babyface at this time, but that moment turned him into this like super ultra mega babyface where the entire crowd was doing the yes chants, and it was like deafeningly loud yes chants. You can't have that moment. Like, even though, like, yes, it's Daniel Bryan's moment, but you can't have that moment without Bray Wyatt. He was a very, even though the whole storyline was Daniel Bryan versus the Authority and all that, you can't have that storyline without Bray Wyatt. He was, even if it wasn't a storyline he was involved in, anything that he did or touched or anything, it was integral to something. And even if it was like a small thing, and that's just the kind of character that he was. And I think that's why he was just over so well with the audience. It didn't matter if he was heel or face or whatever. Like, people were always interested in what he was doing and what he was saying. And but yeah, and then they show the next year that he WrestleMania 31, he's facing The Undertaker. And I remember watching that match, and I remember I was mad that Bray Wyatt lost, because the previous year Undertaker had lost the streak to Brock Lesnar. So I was like, well, Undertaker doesn't really need to win now. And then I remember I was pretty mad that Bray lost.
Here's something I do want to mention. After this documentary came out, I don't know if it's just because it could be because of this, but I don't think it is. A lot of people are saying it's because Brock's been erased or whatever, but basically, I don't think it is, but basically Undertaker says that he thinks Bray should have ended the streak. Like
oh yeah, I've seen the clip of him saying that.
And I wholeheartedly agree he should have.
I think the whole thing was like, he didn't want to end it. I think it was like Vince's decision to end it, and it was like something to do with like, because I think they had just created the network at the time, and so they wanted to have some kind of crazy moment like that to like boost interest in people buying the network, or it was something like that, I think it was. And I remember Undertaker was saying like it was kind of a stupid reason to end the streak, and he even said that Brock didn't want to do it either. So it's not like it was only him that didn't want to do it. Like, he even said that Brock like told him that he didn't want to do that because he felt like it was disrespectful. But ultimately, it was Vince's decision, I guess. So you can blame Vince for that, like everything else, I guess.
Yeah, fuck you, Vince. Nobody likes you. But, fucking...
That's not true. Andrew Tate likes him for some reason.
Yeah, that's true. But nobody likes Andrew Tate either. So, you know...
Oh, yeah.
Nobody likes Andrew Tate besides Andrew Tate. Fucking...
Yeah.
Fucking... But I definitely think he should have ended the streak. I was so hyped when he came out of the casket, dude. At Fastlane. Like, that was keeping me going at the time, because I'm not going to mention why, but I was kind of in a dark place at that time. So, that match kind of kept me going. and then they had Taker win, and I was like, why? Why?
Yeah, because I remember, like, Brock beating the streak at the time, I hated it, and then, like, what they ended up doing with Brock, I was kind of like, okay, I guess. Like, but it was a thing where, like, even Undertaker said, like Brock didn't need that, because he was already such an established fucking big attraction. It's not like, really, him beating the streak didn't really do much for him, because he was already fucking Brock Lesnar. But if it would have been Bray beating it, that would have done so much more for him.
Oh yeah.
And just the type of character that he had, in my opinion, even at the time I was thinking about it, I was like, well, like, the type of character he has kind of like an Undertaker-like character, like there's similarities there, and I was like, that would have been the perfect kind of like a passing of the torch moment from like one like dark, weird character onto like kind of like him giving it to like the next generation of a new Undertaker type character, if that makes any sense. Like, he would be like the Undertaker of this generation, I guess.
When you said next generation, for some reason, all I heard was Jason Jordan's theme, and I was like, why?
The next generation of great. I'm the next generation of great.
I started thinking of Kurt Angle, and I was like, god damn it. My head sometimes. But, fucking, he definitely should have won at 31. But then we get to WrestleMania 32.
Thing was, even Undertaker talked about it, like the fact that because they show that Undertaker got to wrestle IRS back in the day, which is Bray's dad, and he was talking about how cool it was that he got to wrestle Bray's dad, and then at WrestleMania he got to wrestle Bray as well.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking surreal. And it just tells you how long fucking Taker was going. Jesus.
Yeah.
But fucking... Then we get to WrestleMania 32, where they show that his promo segment with The Rock, and man, we reminisced on how that was like the only moment from that Mania that actually was good.
Yeah, that Mania is like the only things I remember liking from it was that. I remember the Shane and Undertaker Hell in a Cell match was probably my favorite match on the show. And then the women's triple threat was alright, and then everything else was kind of just like diarrhea. Pretty much, it was.
I mean,
bad.
The main event was
and
Roman and
Triple
Triple H.
The fucking, yeah, and they fucking topped it off with the fucking trash ass fucking "Welcome to My House" fucking theme. I fucking hate that theme song. It's so garbage.
Bro, that song made me hate Flo Rida.
Yeah.
Like, I liked Flo Rida when he did fucking the goddamn WrestleMania 29, or was it 28? Whichever. It was one of them. But, it was the Wild Ones, or what the fuck ever. And then, fucking, My House just made me want to fucking, because that was played everywhere, dude.
They put that on the 2K15 soundtrack as well, so I heard that so fucking much when I played 2K15.
Yeah.
You know, I just got this shit on my timeline, not to get sidetracked, but I got this shit on my timeline where someone was like, they put like one of those like baity tweets, and they're like, oh, what do you think is the greatest WrestleMania theme song of all time? And then they put All Start, and they put Welcome to My House, WrestleMania 32. And I was like, that's what you fucking put?
That's disgusting.
Like, well, but yeah.
Fucking. But yeah, that was like the only good part of that Mania. And then they talked about his title win and everything. And basically, it was at the Elimination Chamber where nobody thought he was going to win. And he pinned AJ Styles 1, 2, 3 for the WWE Championship. It was the first time any of the Rotundas or Wyndhams or anybody won the World Championship. And he talked about how he was so shocked and surprised that it was him. I should mention in this documentary, they had like documentary segments from the past. So like Dusty in the FCW documentary, they put clips of that, and they also put clips of Bray from the Undertaker's Last Ride, and also they have audio clips of Bray that was recorded previously before his passing. I should mention that.
Yeah.
Because that was a big part of this. But, yeah, if you want to go on with WrestleMania 33.
Well, they did Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. And fucking Randy won the title. And I remember at the time I was pissed because I was like, Bray just fucking won it. Why are they taking it off of him? And then apparently, like, the reason at the time was he was having, what the fuck was it? My mind just blanked. Because there was like a fucking reason that he did. Didn't they say it was like he was having like creative frustrations and shit? And
Yes, and he just recently got a divorce.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. He got a divorce and he got like super depressed and everything. And like after that, going into like 2018, they didn't like show this whole part of his career, but they like during that time is when he was doing the whole deleters of worlds things with Matt Hardy, but obviously Matt Hardy wasn't in this documentary. And then they go to 2019 where he's having a lot of creative frustration, and pretty much it gets to a point where they tell him that they creatively don't have anything for him anymore. And so Bray kind of like freaks out and he's like, oh, I gotta do something. I gotta do whatever I can to like get some creativity back. And so that's when he talks to what was the guy's name again?
Jason Baker.
Yeah, that's when he talks to him about the whole idea of the Fiend. And if you want to, because I know you want to talk about the Fiend, so I'll let you talk about that.
So, the Fiend was this type of split personality character where it took all his past engagements from the Wyatt family and Husky Harris and fucking just him in general and mashed it into this giant split personality where he would be a fun-loving, sinister Mr. Rogers at one point, and then when he would awaken this beast in his split personality, he would become the Fiend, this monster-like clown of destruction, I guess, in a way. And it took control. It was like a personality that took control of him, that can take control of him. And basically, they talked about the puppets, how Huskus the Pig was based on Husky Harris and his weight issues. That Bray he had issues with his weight and everything as well. But
Yeah.
they also talked about how Mercy the Buzzard was a play on Waylon Mercy, how Abby the Witch was a play on his fictional sister, Sister Abigail, and then how Ramblin' Rabbit was a play on how people would say that Bray would ramble in his promos all the time. And basically it was his biggest creation that led to him becoming mainstream, like to the point where, I don't know if you remember this, but on like Fox News and all this shit, he would have him pop up like that. That's how like mainstream it was. And they would skip all over his fucking Universal title run because, I mean, besides like the middle, the beginning and end is pretty rocky, so we're not going to talk about it. But they talked about his match, his Firefly Funhouse match with John Cena, and John Cena basically reminisces about it because of how they did it in 2 days. And this is also around the pandemic, obviously. This is the start of the pandemic, and they recorded this match in 2 days, and John Cena reminisced about how it looked like it was shot in 6 months, like they had 6 months to prepare for this. And yeah, it was, The Fiend was something special, something that got me back into wrestling. Like, I was still into wrestling, but it got me back, like, invested, man. And yeah, but then we go on to WrestleMania 37, and Bray is having frustrations because he has this vision, he wears his heart on his sleeve, and he has this vision for his characters, and doesn't really like being told, like, what this character is going to do. And basically, of course, the Inferno match happens with Randy Orton, and he becomes the Burned Fiend. Now, in the middle of all this happening, and he's struggling with those issues, he suffers the loss of John Huber, or Luke Harper, or Brody Lee. Either way you know him, it was really tough, and it broke Bray in a way when he was going through it. And going through all that and everything, and then for basically him to go to WrestleMania after all this and trying to have a good match, and then being creatively frustrated, and then the match was all fucked, which we aren't going to talk about because I don't really want to talk about that match because it pissed me off. So if you really want to see me talk about that match, watch a WrestleMania 37 review. That's all you need to see. But yeah, fucking then we get to the part where he was released, which was also a frustrating experience for me and him, and rightfully so. But
I remember when Bray got released. I remember fucking Austin called me on the phone, and I had never heard Austin scream and cuss so much in my life until that moment. He was so fucking pissed. I just remember as soon as I answered, and I was like, what's up? And Austin was like, I'll tell you what's up. This fucking bullshit. And just started screaming.
it was bad.
God.
It was bad.
Yeah.
But then they talked about how Bray and Bo, because Bo also got released around this time in April.
Yeah.
And basically they talked about how they were going to like film this. They filmed this fucking pilot for like this like. I don't want to call it this because it's cursed now. Now that I think about it, it's kind of like this Ghost Adventures style, fucking like cryptid hunting show. It's sad that I fucking compared it to Ghost Adventures because that's just scary. Not literally, it's not actually scary. Jesus Christ.
Do you think if it would have been a thing, do you think they could have possibly collabed with fucking Zach Bagans?
I don't want to live in a world where that's a thing, so I'm glad it didn't happen.
My
But
name is Zach Bagans, and I never believed in ghosts until I came face to face with one.
Jesus Christ.
Check out a Ghost Adventures video. That was a fun video.
Cheap plug. But fucking basically they talk about how, well, basically Wyndham and Taylor, while filming that, kind of gathered the ideas and the passion again to go back to WWE, and they got on the phone with Mr. Levesque, Triple H, and that's where it all came to be, and that's where the White Rabbit stuff started. And I'm just gonna say this again: fuck you, Wrestle Talk. But
Yeah, if you want a little taste of what Austin was going through during the White Rabbit time, go to the Clips channel and watch the clip where Austin goes off about Bray Wyatt rumors. Because
I was going through it. I was going through it for like a year and a half, man. After he got released, like I was, every time I would see a Bray Wyatt rumor, I'd just be like, why, man? And there'd be even times where like you would sit there, you would sit there and be an asshole, and fucking you're like, oh, Austin, I heard about this rumor about Bray Wyatt going to AEW, and I'd be like, shut up. Just don't ever put that in my brain.
Every fucking day, all these fucking wrestling news sites were saying, oh, he's going here, he's going there, he's going here, it was like every day was all I was seeing.
And you could see my frustration.
Yeah.
But they showed his big return at Extreme Rules, and man, every time I see that return, and then his promo after it, I just get. You could say I'm a nerd or I'm a mark, all I want. I just get chills, man. I just get chills every time. Because that was a time where I was so happy. Man, I was so fucking happy. But, yeah, they showed...
If you want to see that, go check out our Extreme Rules review.
We're just
keep plugging videos, but, like, to save us from talking about all of it again, just go check those videos out.
Yeah. But, I did find out one thing, that Jason Baker was the Fiend in that return. But
yeah, because Bray specifically asked for him to be, because he said that he deserved it.
yeah, I will say, just so I don't tear up and get emotional, because I probably will if I talk about it. Do you want to talk about the last parts for me? I think that would help here.
Well, basically, they revealed that Bo Dallas was Uncle Howdy, and Uncle Howdy was based on a nightmare that Bray had when he was a child, and so they turned Uncle Howdy into a character, and Bray had always wanted to work with his brother, so they had his brother play Uncle Howdy, and they loved getting to work together and shit, and it's not exactly clear where exactly it was supposed to go, but they did say that it was, like, something was supposed to happen at Mania last year. They were gonna be at Mania together, so there was gonna be something. I don't know what it was gonna be, but basically, it didn't happen because Bray had missed months because something was going on with him that no one really knew exactly what was going on, and he wasn't feeling good. He wasn't feeling like himself, and it turned out that he got diagnosed with COVID. He tested positive for COVID, and I guess he had some heart issues, and so, which COVID only made that worse. And I had COVID, and you had COVID, so we both know what that fucking feels like.
Yeah, I had it twice.
I've had it twice as well, so, and basically, he was fine, and then he'd get better, and then get worse, and then get better, and then get worse. It was like back and forth. Didn't really know what was going on. He had to wear like this special vest that would, like, I think this is something like if his heart stopped, it would like kind of like a fucking, what is that called? It's like the what?
I was clearing my throat.
Oh, I thought you were laughing.
No.
So fuck.
No.
But I can't. The defibrillator. That's what it was called. It was kind of like that, where it's like a vest where, like, if his heart stopped, it would like how do you say it? It would fucking make his heart start going again. I'm fucking tired. And basically, he had went to the doctors, and they were talking about like giving him like a pacemaker and shit. And then one day, it was in like August, he like saw his kids and stuff, and then he told JoJo he was gonna go take a nap. And then about an hour later, his alarm went off, but he didn't get up. And then JoJo went in there, and he wasn't responding, and she said apparently he was having like a heart attack or whatever. And then took him to the hospital, and his Bo and his sister and JoJo and Bray's parents all went there, and pretty much by the time they got there, he was already gone. And so when they got there, they got pulled into a room, and the doctor said, "I have some bad news. He's already gone." And it was very, very heavy and very, very emotional, because they had Bo explaining that part, and he was like crying, and he was like trying to keep his composure, but he was like crying and shit. It was really sad. And then JoJo was crying, his sister was crying. They even had a part where like Braun Strowman was crying. Bray's dad was crying, his mom was crying. It was so much crying, and it was so emotional, and it was really hard to keep it together. Even I started tearing up and shit. And and they talked about how like they felt like it wasn't real, like this isn't really happening. And then Bo was talking about like in that moment he felt like this sense of like strength, that something was like telling him to be strong and hold up his family members. And he said that he felt like that was Bray like giving him that strength in that moment, I guess is what he said. And then I'm talking about what happened after that. I'm blanking right now.
They talked about his funeral.
Yeah, so then they talked about the whole like SmackDown tribute show and shit, and then they talked about him being honored across the world at like different house shows and stuff. People always putting fireflies up in the crowd and showing how many lives he touched and how many people that he inspired and everything. And what happened after that?
They talked about his funeral and everything like that, his service, which is he said it was a very Wyndham service, so very emotional. Talked about Taylor's speech and his sister's speech and everything. And after that, they showed Jason Baker and how he was showing the new concept for the theme, the new theme, and it was very personalized. It had a lot of Easter eggs, and basically it had the mask had the Roman numerals of what was going to be Wyndham's and JoJo's wedding date. The pants had all of his kids' names on it, and then he had mockingbirds on his boots and everything, and that was another thing with JoJo because he called JoJo his mockingbird and everything. And after that, they showed his kids and talking about how his kids were a spitting image of him in every way, personality-wise and everything. And after that, Taylor says that basically Wyndham's ideas will always live on and he will never be forgotten and everything. And then the credits roll with The Undertaker in the credits talking about how it is crazy that he faced IRS and Wyndham. And then after the credits roll, we get a teaser for Uncle Howdy. The lantern turns back on and you see Uncle Howdy, and that's where it ends.
Yep.
Really great.
I'm wondering where it's gonna go from here, because Bo was saying, like, especially in this speech, he was saying that he's gonna carry on Bray's legacy the best he can. So something, especially with that team, like, I feel something is gonna happen sooner or later.
Yeah.
And I'm interested in what that's gonna be, because I seen some people making like concepts. Like, I was scrolling through Twitter and I seen one of like Uncle Howdy looking in the mirror, and then the reflection in the mirror was like Bo, but he was like dressed in the Firefly Funhouse stuff. And I was like, I mean, that's cool, but I don't, like, obviously, like, you gotta remember, like, even though they are brothers, like, he's not Bray, and he doesn't have like the same creative mind. I'm sure he does have a very creative mind, but like everything that Bray did was like, it all came from stuff in his own head. And so like, I just feel like people are gonna expect whatever he does to be like Bray, and I feel like they might be a little disappointed if it's not exactly like what Bray would do. But you gotta understand it's two different minds, and I also don't really think it should be a thing of like of him trying to be Bray, because like, I don't think that would work. Honestly, he shouldn't try to be Bray. I feel he should carry on the legacy by using what Bray created and adding on to it and making it into his own weird world of stuff that he comes up with in his mind. That's what I feel he should do.
Same here.
And hopefully, hopefully it'll be very good and entertaining. And I don't know if that means that we're going to see specifically Uncle Howdy again, or if he's just going to be himself, or what's really going to happen, or if we, at some point, a lot of people said rumors about like the Wyatt Six and all this stuff of like a faction of like Bo and all these other people, and Alexa Bliss in there, and Strowman and all these other people. So I don't know what could happen, honestly, but
I don't know.
Does happen,
I know.
I'm excited for it.
I think Strowman's still injured, but I know Alexa Bliss has been training more after she gave birth, obviously, but she's been training as of recent. She posted something where she was back at it, she said. So, I mean, that could be something.
I don't see why they couldn't bring Eric Rowan into it as well. Cause
yeah,
I'm not really doing anything right now.
No, he doesn't seem like he really would want to do anything else, truly. All he's really done on the indies and everything is he's kind of just been there to honor his friend's passing after like a couple indie bookings, of course, but I don't think he hasn't really signed anywhere ever since his release. So
I know he showed up on AEW a couple times, but it wasn't really anything significant. So I think he mainly showed up for the Brody Lee tribute show.
Yeah.
And then I think he might have had a match or two there, but he never signed, I don't think.
No, so he hasn't really committed anywhere, truly. So I mean, if he does sign with WWE and does that, it'd be amazing and everything, but I don't know.
Well, I don't know, just seeing how much passion that Bo has, I feel whatever he is going to do, he's gonna. He even said in the documentary that like Wyndham passing has kind of like lit a fire under him, and it's burning brighter than ever before, and that he has so much passion and he wants to capitalize on that. And so I feel with how much passion he has, I feel, and whatever, because I mean, all the characters he played on WWE television was like the Bo Leave and Social Outcasts and E-Team and Ms. Taraj and like all this random comedy roles they gave him. Never really seen if he like had his own like creative mindset or anything. So no one really knows what he's capable of doing. And if going off of like the whole Bray and Uncle Howdy thing, I'm sure that like all of that wasn't just Bray's idea. I'm sure that Bo had some like input on that stuff. So it kind of makes me excited because no one really knows what kind of ideas and stuff that he's gonna have. Because like I'm sure he is probably gonna have like some weird shit like Bray, but I think the cool thing about it is it's gonna be I feel like it's gonna be like Bray, but I think he's gonna do and like create a lot of things that we've never seen before, and where I think we're gonna see like a whole side of like I don't know if he's still gonna be, when he comes back, if he's still gonna be called Bo Dallas or if he's gonna have a different name, I don't know. But whatever he does, I was saying he's gonna probably do a lot of things that we've never seen before, and it's going to be a whole side of him that no one's ever seen, because all he's really known for is those comedy gimmicks, like I said, so we never really got to delve into his character or anything like that, because at the surface it was just like, oh, haha, it's Bo Dallas, and he's in this, like, group of, like, losers or whatever, he gets beat up. Like, that was, like, his whole thing, and he was never, like, really taken serious on the main roster. So I feel like this is, like, I hope it's one of those, like, Bray's passing is like a blessing in disguise type of situation, where even though him passing sucks, maybe it's a blessing in disguise, because now maybe his brother is going to get to go on to have this career that he never thought he was going to be able to have.
Maybe.
Yeah.
All we know now is we just gotta wait and see. And I'm looking forward to whatever happens. And I'm gonna try my best not to get my hopes up, because I think I've already kind of gotten them up, so a little bit. But
well, I don't think they would put the teaser in there if
oh,
it
yeah,
wasn't going to be something.
There's definitely going to be something. It's just more of a win and wear scenario.
Yeah.
But on that note, definitely watch this documentary. It's a must watch. Now, I don't really say that too often in the Austintheartist reviews, but it is a must watch. And thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Devon, for joining me. And peace.
Rest in peace, Wyndham.
Rest in peace.